Thanks very much, folks. We're going to now continue a discussion of AI wars. We had a little bit of a taste on the last panel with a discussion of the geopolitical nature of nation-state building of AI. My name is Michael Tubin. I'm a partner at Latham Watkins, international law firm. I am the global chair of our AI practice. I work with many, if not all, of the US leading AI developers. I litigate cases. I handle government investigations and deal with the day-to-day crises those companies have as they are racing to try to become the best in the race to AGI. Let me let the rest of the panel introduce themselves. We have an incredible panel here to talk about lots of the different wars here, and then I'll kick it off with a brief introduction and then we can dive in.
Hi everyone, I'm Maor Shlomo, founder at Base44, a platform that allows anyone to build tools and apps without the need to code.
Hey everyone, Or Lechner. I'm the CEO of Bria AI. We're the largest web data collection platform in the world in any parameter, and especially in the sheer size of data, web data that is being collected through our platform.
Hi everyone, my name is Horesh and I'm the Chief of Strategic AI Partnerships at Bria AI. We are AI developers building foundational models in the generative media space, text to image, text to video, and text to music. And we are doing this exclusively on licensed data.
Welcome everyone. So when we think about AI wars, we can think about it really at every different level. We've already had a brief introduction on the last panel again to sort of the nation-state implications of having leading models and leading AI infrastructure. But you can also think about it from the perspective of building an LLM or building a multimodal model. What are the wars that are involved in that? The war to get the data, and we have experts on the panel to talk about this today. The wars that you face as a developer of those models, as governments around the world seek to be not displaced and go after you. As users around the world seek to not have their data used to train these models. As content owners seek to ensure that their content isn't used to train these models. Not everybody is pursuing an approach like Bria is pursuing, and many use data that's scraped from the internet. That's the sort of work that I'm often involved in, but there is a version of a war happening at every step. And so what we're going to explore is some of the intricacies of those wars. Or why don't we start with you? Because you're really seeing this from the data perspective, because to train these models is, regardless of how you're doing it, requires millions, billions, trillions of tokens. Can you tell us a little bit about the wars you're seeing from your perspective?
Sure. Maybe I'll share some interesting numbers to set up the stage and explain how we're actually able to see what's going on. So we're selling to most of the AI giants, the LLM labs, everyone that is basically building an AI product or trying to achieve AGI, if it's the more advanced platforms out there. They all need, from what we are seeing, three major things: smart people, a lot of compute, and a lot of data. And a lot of data means multiple things. It means the broadness of the data. It should come from various places. It should be deep, so it should have a lot of data on a specific subject, for example, and it should be fresh. So knowing what's going on today, not a year ago. We're serving roughly 20,000 customers today that are touching websites almost 35 billion times every single day from our platform alone. So we're seeing what they need, we're seeing what their demand is, and I'll start by just saying that the demand is increasing. It's increasing exponentially, and that's probably because we're seeing a shift from pre-training and fine-tuning of the models, which isn't stopping, but it's expanding. But now we're seeing also a shift into inference time or test time compute, so actually adding more data and more context into the models in real time. So all of us, the users or customers, will actually get what they need now, and it will be correct and accurate and right. And now we're also starting to see them, the AI companies, actually starting to scrape data from each other for post-training to do this benchmarking and understand what's going on and how they are benchmarked towards, when comparing to others. what we're seeing is that visuals, that's related to you as well, are becoming the king. So we're talking about images and videos. Everyone are training the next video model, but it's not just for that. When we're talking to the modeling teams, we understand that at least the large companies are working towards robotics. So a lot of them are just, you know, the chatbots of the world that everyone are using are just the appetizer before building that brain of the future robot that will eventually fold the laundry in our houses or do whatever it is. He needs to know everything that we know and a lot more. So they just need more and more data, and it's not going to stop. The usage growth that we're seeing is like nothing before.
Or thank you. Vered, let me ask you a question. You've taken, your business, Bria, takes a different approach to training. You're not licensing data from Bright Data, and you're not scraping data. So you have a different sort of position in this war and in the market for selling your services to businesses. Can you talk a little bit about that market strategy, about that aspect of the business war and how you came to be in that position?
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of what Or said actually talks to why we decided to take this approach and build this strategy 5 years ago when we started. So when we started this generative media, now leading the market for responsible generative media, we didn't have just, you know, it wasn't a philanthropic mission that we started. It was something different. It was thinking about how enterprises can engage with this technology. And for enterprises, it has to be, enterprises obviously are risk-averse creatures, and they also need to have trust and transparency, and the all black box concept kind of challenges enterprise paradigm. So for them to engage with this technology, we knew from the start that we will need to build something that provides them with this trust they needed in order to really adopt and not just experiment with this technology. And the first thing we ever developed before developing any generative model was our attribution technology. And that enables us to compensate content creators based on measured impact on any synthetic output that is coming out of our models. So let's take, for example, one of our text-to-image models. Any generated image, we can trace it back to the original content creators that contributed the most impactful assets into our training data set to inform the generation of these synthetic assets. This data, this transparency is being shared back not just with our data partners, Getty Images, Shutterstock, Alamy, and Vato, and so on and so forth, but also with our customers. So obviously a lot of our customers are customers that are, the underpinning concept of their business is copyright. Media and entertainment has been a great sector for us. Marketing agencies, WPP, Publicis, Dentsu, and others, and obviously Hollywood, Warner Brothers, Universal Music, Fox Entertainment, and also large brands, by the way, that care about safety and what adverse impact engaging with models that we can't really predict what they will generate and what will be the adverse potential impact on their reputation. So Procter & Gamble, Renault, and others. So when we started this, we wanted to think about safety, how we allow them to, the safety needed in order to really transform their businesses with this technology. But the other thing that we wanted to do is to rethink about the media market and economy and how it's going to be redefined at the age of AI. How do we continue? And Or mentioned before, and I really, I think this is a key. There's no AI without AI expertise, which obviously we bring to the table, enormous compute power, and we all know what happened to the stock of, you know, NVIDIA and AWS and Microsoft. But then there's also the data, and I think Or can speak to the quality of the data being key to the quality of the models. And this is something that research community reinforces time and time again. So for us to make sure that there's a sustainable business model going forward that is going to make sure that fresh human-generated data long-term is going to be available for our models to be trained on was one of the things that we were looking to solve with this technology.
Thank you for that perspective. Maor, you sit in a different position. You have a business where your product is built on top of other models. So Or is telling us about selling data to 20,000 customers, many out there building the leading models that you're then leveraging. Vered's told us about a different approach to building models. What's your perspective on the war that those models are all having to be the first, given that you get to then decide which one you're going to incorporate into your products?
Yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting next couple of years. Base 44 right now is, as far as I know, the Israeli company that spends the most on Gen AI models, on LLMs. We're spending about close to now $20,000 a day just on LLMs generating code. So the first thing that comes to mind is that there's not a lot of brand loyalty in the space. I think if you look 2 years ago, 3 years ago, people were referring to software pieces that were written on top of LLMs as like GPT wrappers and used to dismiss them as the value and IP that's actually there and would say, yeah, eventually the financial winners of this whole war is going to be the model providers. I've seen my company goes from spending close to $20,000 a day on Anthropic, on Claude, switching to, or at least moving a huge workload to a different model because now there's a new model that knows how to code better or something like that. And I think it's definitely, I'm hopeful at least, that it's going to be a race to the bottom in terms of prices. Also, I see a lot of founders that are building now their companies on top of LLMs, basically betting on this trend, saying, okay, even if my margins right now are not so great, I know that in the next few months they're going to go better, they're going to get better and better and better as models are basically going to become cheaper. We used to see, now it's kind of confusing, but there's like, generally I'm treating it as like there's two classes of models, right? There's like the top tier, huge models that you spend a lot of money on, and then there's like the fast ones. And every one of those providers have those two classes, right? There's OpenAI has GPT-03, which is like really, really good, and then there's like GPT-4o mini. And Claude has the Claude 3.7 is like really good at coding, and then there's like HiQ is like faster, and Gemini the same. I think in a year or two, we'll see the smaller models being able to do a lot of the tasks that we're currently paying a lot of money for the bigger models to do. And that's going to be interesting. On the other side, there's not going to be only a war across like the model level, because software is going to look the same. It's going to look completely different. And there's going to be an abundance of people creating software, being able to build on top of those models. Those models will provide 80% of the value, and then you take it to a certain niche or a certain use case. And I think from a customer perspective, this is going to be fantastic. There's going to be a lot of software that is going to be able to do a lot of different things, and it's going to be very, very cheap, and it's going to be liquid. People will be able to change it and customize it as much as they want to. From a vendor or a software player, it's going to get really interesting. One, because you'll get to a place very soon that model providers are providing you with a lot of value to build your software on top, and not charging you for a lot. Second, you'll get to a place where you're building something and you're building software, and you know that now with the capabilities of LLM, many of your customers might be able to build it for themselves. That's pretty much about it. I think it's going to get interesting. There's going to be opportunities all across the board. I think for us, software players or folks who are building SaaS, a lot of what you want to do is exactly bet on this trend that models are going to get better and they're going to get cheaper. And you know what? Even if they're not going to get very much better than where they are right now, even by becoming cheaper, the products that we'll see coming out of it are going to be just absolutely incredible. I think a lot of the current products, Base 44 included, is now doing its best to provide as much value as possible without torching the bank account by paying to all those different model vendors. And by, even if it's only going to get lower and lower cost and price per token, you'll see just incredible products coming out of that.
Thank you. We can finish now and we're going to close out, but I just want to make one observation out of what you've all said, which is that if you look at how these wars are playing out, there is so much innovation that's occurring. Maor just talked about it, this huge field of innovation where there isn't actually that much warfare. And that reducing cost layer for Maor and all those other developers, not only are those large LLM providers building the technology, they're actually fighting most of those battles and not having the developers fight them for them. It's a remarkable set of circumstances and one I don't think we've really seen before. Thank you for your time.